Yeah, kid! Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer Podcast. I am Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer. This episode is sponsored by none other than my twin brother, Captain Permit. Big shout out to Captain Permit and the crew over there doing an unbelievable job. I want to thank everybody out there, realtors, mortgage people, attorneys, sellers, real estate agents. I mean, the business is growing leaps and bounds every week. We really appreciate your support. Everyone's very happy. The team's doing an unbelievable job, and I can't thank them enough. If you need us for permits, Brookhaven's got an amnesty program out now, sending letters out to everyone. Got to legalize anything that is illegal, or essentially they're coming for you and giving you tickets. 516-513-8838. Investors, if you're renovating properties, don't think you can get away with it, especially in the town of Hempstead. You can't. Give us a call, 516-513-8838. And obviously, if you have a house that smells like cat pee, mold on the basement walls, human waste floating past the basement steps, you have commercial property, development opportunity, tracts of land to build houses, whatever it is, the dirtier the better, 516-777-SOLD. Ask to speak to Handsome. All right. Today's podcast is, hands down, the most exciting podcast of the 50, 60 some odd podcasts that I've done so far, right? In addition, this is, I'm very, very blessed. I have an amazing family. I've worked very hard. I've had a great career thus far that I feel is just starting because it never ends. I'm always looking for the next challenge. But this gentleman who is on the podcast today, and we're going to hear his story, him and I had an interaction together a few years ago, and so much has happened since as a result. This is one of the biggest moments in my career. The impact that I'm taking a very small credit for that I had on this man's life and what he has done since then and what he continues to do is absolutely mind-blowing and more gratifying than buying 50, 60, 70, 100 houses or building 30 apartment buildings. All right. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Luis Cardenas. Century 21 American Homes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Bro,
I'm still like dumbfounded at the fact that you even thought, because I've seen the people that sat on this chair, and I am still amazed that you even told me to.
We were talking that day, and I'm just like, you said that to me, you dropped that on me, so to give a little bit of background here, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit here, and then I'm gonna let Luis kind of take off with this. So, Luis, how long have you been an agent for? By the way, I didn't know that.
2013. A license holder.
Okay.
2013.
So 6 years, right? So
yep.
you've had your real estate license for 6 years, but you didn't really do real estate transactions. You did BPOs, right? So for those of you who don't know what BPOs are, BPO stands for broker price opinion. So if a short sale is happening, or if a refinance is happening, or if a bank is just looking to value their portfolio because they have to every certain amount of time, they will put out requests to people that do BPOs like Luis, and he will either do drive-by analysis for them, or he will go in the house and do more of a specific appraisal-esque type of review of the house so that the bank can value what it is. So it was 2017 we met, right? I think.
Yep.
2017, we met at a BPO, and we just started talking in the street. We spent an hour and a half talking.
Well, actually, we met much earlier than that. The first time we met is at a house in like Wantage or something, and I came in my Harley, and that's kind of I was dressed down, and we just kind of like hit it off, like two young guys doing business. That's awesome, and just kind of.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And then maybe we saw each other another time, and then finally in a later part of 2017, that's when we had our
love affair began. Our true love affair began.
Yep.
So I want to kind of I want you to kind of take it from there and tell the story about, the interaction that we had, and then what we talked about, and then how it's propelled you from this moment to this moment.
So basically the background is that I was doing BPOs, doing a lot of them. And that just means driving in your car for long periods of time, making a good living. But at the same time, I was, you can see, if you follow business trends, you see what's happening. You can see 2-3 cars ahead of you, and I could see the business shifting. I could see that short sales and REOs and all those things were gonna start slowing down, and I was gonna become a dinosaur. And so I needed to recreate myself. And so I started thinking in the back of my head. I had children at this point, and I had a wife, and I have a big bill that I need to carry every month, and I start thinking, what's my 5-year plan? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? What's gonna happen? And so I meet Charles, and that day I met with Charles. We go through the usual process. We walk through the house. I take the pictures, and we move on. And then Charles starts just, poking me with questions like, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Where are you? What's going on? How do you do this? How do you do that?" And at some point, I just open up the church, and I'm like, "Look, this business is gonna die." And I think that I've been told that I'm good at doing real estate. But at that point, I had only done one transaction the year before, one sale for my first buyer. Yeah. And so I said, maybe I'll do that. And Charles is like, you should totally do it. I'm resuming the whole conversation into like maybe 15 seconds, but it was an hour and a half conversation about how I'm telling him how, no, I suck, blah, blah, blah. Just being whiny about the whole thing. And he's pumping me up like, no, man, just go out there. Go do it. You can do it. It's just like, you have these conversations in life. You have those people that walk into your life and tell you things that you really need to hear at that moment. And that's why, I never told him this, and we keep in touch often enough. But we were talking last week, and I had a really good week, and I'm telling him, giving him credit, like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is all because of a conversation we had. And it really was. I mean, part of it was the big man upstairs, giving me grace and giving me, a brain that I could use effectively. But a big part of it is Charles's just push, like propelled me to make the move, make the decision and go for it, no matter what. And it just, what? I went back home. I talked to my wife about it, and she said, listen, whatever you want to do, I back you up as long as, you don't go crazy, basically. And I said, no, I really think I can do this based upon confidence and a very one transaction that I think went well, and Charles's faith in me, basically, because that's really what it came down to.
Dude, this is like, I'm so pumped up right now. I mean, there's so many things that you hit on there that I feel like people need to understand and realize. I mean, first of all, mind-blowing thing is like, you're a very intelligent guy. You're very, very socially intelligent, right? We were talking about this before. Like a point that you just made before is you're like, I see the future. Like, I'm doing BPOs. First and foremost, how about this? Were you happy when we had that conversation? Were you happy, like, with your current career path? What was going on?
So was I happy with so this is a conversation we had. Was I happy? No, I wasn't happy because I felt like at that point I really needed to be looking forward to what my retirement was going to be. I know I'm only 32 years old and I feel like I'm 22. I'm just getting started. But once you have a family, you start thinking, once you have a family, when you have a moment in life that you start looking forward and say, holy crap, I really need to figure out what I got to do for the rest of my life because time is not stopping and I got to start playing games. Then you start having doubts about what you're doing and really start thinking about forward. What am I doing? So I wasn't happy, even though I was making good money. So financially, I was okay.
Yeah.
But emotionally and financially, looking to the future, I wasn't okay.
Yeah, like,
so I wasn't happy.
I brought that up because I distinctly remember you being like, you just didn't seem happy. And that's why I was like, bro, you gotta like do this. Like, whatever it's gotta do, you gotta be happy. And now you have this like, this light that kind of, that you emit. Like, you're glowing, you're smiling, you're happy. Like, it's a totally different person. You were actually even you even seemed somewhat kind of introverted at the time. And now you're all over social media. You're everywhere.
Well, I see you say that because I would tell my wife, like, I would be proud of being antisocial. But there's a difference between, because people are so judgmental.
Okay.
And I like what I have. I like what I do. I'm confident on every decision that I make.
Okay.
And I make mistakes. But people judge and they have no right to say certain things. And so I just became so introverted. Like, my car was my office. And I would be happy just driving, making money alone. I didn't have to deal with a boss on top of me or employees under me. So I was almost proud that I was able to manage this, in my head, empire I had of BPOs alone. So, but that started eating at me because I was socially, I was just
that's not really healthy.
No, I was almost seen like I was grumpy,
Yeah,
and I wasn't grumpy. I'm a happy, funny guy.
You actually did seem a little grumpy at the time.
I was, right? I was. It's just,
that's why I say that.
Yeah, but it wasn't in me. It wasn't. It's just the situation around you kind of starts becoming toxic, And that starts eating at you. And if you don't get out of that situation, which is what I give you credit for, just kind of like putting a hand down and pulling me out and say, you should really pursue this. You have, I don't know what you saw in me. I really don't. But at that moment, I thought, this makes sense. This is what I've been kind of thinking about. And that just confirmed what kind of was in my mind at the time.
Wow. And it might have just been like, it just might have been like timing. At that moment, you were probably ready to hear something like that.
Right.
And I guess like some higher power brought us together in that moment.
Right.
And I said what I said, and you were like, let's go.
But, I hate to turn around because I know you want to hear about me and I'm like embarrassed by the whole thing. But I'm wondering where were you at that moment? Because I know you a year from now, things have changed a lot for you, and you have gone to different paths and just diversified in like a huge way. And so sometimes I feel like you talk to a certain amount of people and you're almost talking to yourself at the same time. And so I wonder where you were at that moment, that you were pumping me up, but at the same time I felt the confidence coming out of you, almost like you needed to tell yourself, I need to do the same thing, like...
You know what it is? Like, it's very interesting that you say that, and this goes back before to me being like, you're a very socially intelligent guy. I mean, that is who I am as a person, meaning like, I want to pump everybody up.
Right.
I want everybody to be happy. I only surround myself with really good people. Like, if you're not a nice person, and I really feed a lot off of energy of people, right? So if I feel like at your core you're not a good person, like I can't be with you in any capacity, even though potentially there's huge money to be made or whatever. Because it literally messes with me. Yeah. Like I feel like
your integrity, you can't be true to yourself because your integrity is almost, you're not a clean slate. And if you hold yourself to a certain standard, bringing yourself down to a lower standard, it's almost like betraying yourself. And so
it's just like if the energy is off and it's not all positivity all the time. Like I always tell like my good friend and CFO Mark, who's sitting next to me, I always tell him like, listen, I want 90% positivity out of you and 10% realism. Right. Like I don't want you to to pump me up, but at the same time, like I feel like we can accomplish anything.
Right.
And when I saw you there in that moment, I just kind of felt, I'm like, dude, this guy, like, he's got what it takes. He's like, he's right there. I'm like, all he needs is like somebody to kind of push him. Because sometimes that's what everybody needs. And then when you start, like, in this moment now, you're feeding it back to me, and I'm pushing it back to you, and together we're like throwing the positivity back and forth and elevating ourselves as people and our careers. So I feed off that. Like I feed off that energy.
Well, that's why we were having the conversation earlier about how, and we'll go a little bit in it, but just a little snippet. Like I went into my office and nothing wrong with the people in the bullpen, but there are in every single office there is the people in the middle and the people in the corner offices.
Okay.
And so I
didn't realize this. I didn't know that there was like an in-office hierarchy based on
if you make more money, if you make more money, like it's like this the phrase corner office. If you have you're the CEO. If you have a corner office, you're probably making more money than anybody else.
That's interesting.
And in order to make more money than everybody else, you must be doing something right. And so I wasn't being nosy, but I gravitate to those people because I want to be performing at a higher, like if I'm doing a certain amount of deals this year, I want to do double next year, if not more.
Yeah.
And so I'm always hungry for what I need to be doing to perform just better. And those people are performing at a higher level. And so you either are drinking coffee all day and chit-chatting in the middle of the bullpen, or you are gravitating toward the outside. And hopefully people are... They see, God gives you grace. They see something in you, and they pull you in.
Yeah.
And that's how I was basically jump started from doing no deals in 2017 because I wasn't actively in real estate to doing maybe 10 sides. I did 10 sides on 2018.
So I want to run quickly through your track record over the last few years, right? And then I want to kind of delve into how you went about doing it. Because there's a lot of realtors out there, like there's 27,000 realtors, right?
Yeah.
Half of those, this is confirmed, half of those have never done a deal.
Right.
Which is nuts.
License holders.
Exactly. And then 5% of those, like remaining 13,000, do 95% of the business, right? So you've had your license for 6 years. In 2016, you did 1 deal. In 2017, you did 0 deals, the year we met.
Right.
We had that conversation. Last year, you had 10 transactions, and so far you have 5 transactions in the first 2 months of this year.
Yeah.
That's like next level growth.
Yeah.
Like next level growth. So like you can clearly see there was like a catalyst there. So
I tell you what combination of 2016 and 17 was. So in 2016, I was referred somebody because they knew I was an agent. I was a license holder. And so they said, my friend wants to buy a house. And I said, I don't really want to do this because I was at that state of mind. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm an island and I could do this on my own. I don't really need anyone else.
Okay.
And so, especially not dealing with the public, because that's a huge thing. Like dealing with the public is a tough thing because people need to be educated.
Yeah.
People have a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of misinformation, and so you need to educate them so they can get to where they want to be.
And that's a process,
right? It is a process, and that process costs you money, and that money equals to literal money or time.
Yes.
So this person, but I really held this person highly, and so when they sent me a referral, I wanted to do right by them. Not necessarily, it wasn't about the buyer, it wasn't about the money, it was more about the person who referred the business.
Okay.
And so I went through the hustle of selling, and that I showed this person like 40 houses. We went all through Long Island. It was hard. I couldn't tell you because I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm taking this person out every weekend to see houses, and they're not making a move.
Yeah.
And so. But eventually they bought a house.
Mm-hmm. And
so I went on social media and I posted it. I said, I'm so excited. It's my first deal, blah, 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 blah. And they saw the post and they commented on it. Oh my God, we didn't really know that it was your first deal. You did an excellent job.
That's nice.
And so I was like, okay, well, that was pat in the back. Great. I did a good job. Whatever. No referrals after that, not actively in real estate. 9 months later, they called me and they said, are you still in the business? Because we want to buy another house. And so now that I'm thinking about it, that was the moment where I started thinking, maybe I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Maybe I did something right. Maybe I could do this real estate thing. Maybe I could be a good agent. And then that's kind of popcorn in my head every day while I'm driving 12-hour days doing BPOs. And then I meet you, and you're like, yes, you could be that agent. Yes, you could do this. Yes, you could do that. So that confirmed.
That's interesting.
That confirmed that moment. And I said, okay, if this person is calling me back after knowing that I'm a rookie, I know nothing about real estate, and I did a good job. I served them well. Mm-hmm. And then this guy's telling me he doesn't know me. We've seen each other twice, that I could do it. This is confirmation. This is like, I really need to do this. So the next move was just get education. Find out how to do it properly.
So here's the thing, and I want everybody to understand this, and you told me about this before. Like, so this is, what we're about to talk about is like super powerful. Forget about like, in real estate, but in life and business, right? Because if you're somebody who's like unhappy with your job and you want a massive change, you want to take action, you're ready, like you basically, with the support of your family, which is amazing, you essentially went into debt to take a risk to say, listen, I'm going to give this a year and not do the BPOs, which you were making money on, and just went out there 100% committed to making this succeed, and you have. That's huge.
The mentality I had, and this is what I told my office manager, is this. This is plan A, B, and C for me. And there's no other option. Like
wait, hold on. Say that again. Say that again.
This is literally what this is what I said. Because in my mind, I had internalized this. I said, I didn't finish. I went to school for civil engineering. I didn't finish that. Mm. I got into business. I started making money, and then I'll go back. So I don't have a degree to fall back on. I before that I worked at a deli, while I was going to school. So I was not going back to work at delis. Nothing wrong with that, but when you're performing at a certain level and you need to make not $12 an hour, that's not an option.
No, you have a family to provide
for. So that's not an option. And real estate is a high income, high stress, high return business. You got to put the time in. And so I saw that as an opportunity to continue to, at some point, start making the same money that I was making before. But it needed to be all in. I needed to be mentally all in. So I told my manager, look, I'm going to need help because I need to figure this out while I'm on the road. But this is, like, I need you to have full confidence that I'm not looking to do this part-time. I'm not a retiree that's like, oh, now I'm going to do real estate because I have free time. This is I told her literally, this is plan A, B, and C for me. This is my number one option and my fallback option.
That's it. So like, if you want to be really successful at something, you can't like dabble in this and dabble in that. Like you could do it when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, but ultimately you got to like pick a lane and you got to go all in.
With everything in life. You want to be, if you want to be a soccer player, that's your fallback plan. You know, like that's not your plan B or your plan. Oh, I'm gonna go to college for soccer and hopefully they pick me up, but I'm gonna be a lawyer after that. I'm gonna go to school. It's great to get a degree, but if your goal and if your life is gonna be fulfilled, because I think a lot you come to a realization that money comes and goes, and happiness is a state of mind. You know, it's just inside of you whether you have the money or not. You know, like. I may not have the money now because I invested everything I have and everything that I don't have, because that's the key to it. Everything that I don't have into real estate so that I can propel myself.
Like it's all or nothing for you.
It's all or nothing.
Like it's you are literally out there, like everything on the line, ready to go. Like
right.
And this has to succeed, and it is succeeding.
And it is, yeah, it is.
So
it is.
I want people. So whatever happened, you and I met. It was time for you to like. What was your process from going from nothing to where you are right now? Like. I remember you touched about education. So kind of like explain to me what were the next steps?
So after that, I went back to my office manager and I said to her, look, I was actually, my wife was a license holder at a company out east in Smithtown.
Okay.
And so that guy was the same thing. He kind of saw that I was, you know, that I'm you know what? Here's something funny. I'll make a parenthesis here. My first boss, my first mentor, he said this to me. He said, I look at you as a hired gun. Wherever I point you, I just got to give you the bullets and I know that you're gonna perform.
Wow.
So that was huge for me because nobody had poured that into me before. So I looked at that the same way. And I feel like people have seen that in me and they've capitalized on that. And it just needed to be time for me to capitalize on myself, you know? And so this guy told me, come to my office, move over, switch brands basically. And I will mentor you. And so I said, you know, that's fine. And I felt like Century 21 in general is just too big of a C. And I wasn't getting one-on-one, which is what I needed. I needed to be a baby that needed mom to tell him what to do. And so this guy was ready to take that role.
Yeah. And
I went back to my office and I said, you know, I really don't feel like I belong here because I want to go to a smaller place that can help me, you know, more one-on-one so I can really learn what I need to do. Because at this point, I had no transactions 2017. And she said, why? Why would you go to a small office? You're in the big spec. You know, what's a manager of Century 21 now supposed to say? Yeah. This is the best office in the world, blah, blah, blah. And then this is what we can provide, this, that, this, and the other. But one of the things she said is education. You need to learn by people that do it really well how to do every single step of the transaction. And so I said, okay, that's what I need then. Out of that conversation, I got out of, I need to learn, I need to educate myself because I need to be able to tell people, people need to feel the confidence that I know what I'm doing. And if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm always going to be conflicted about what I need to do or I have to go back and say, yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out. And you can only pull that card off in a transaction maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
But you can't all the time be saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing because that sends a wrong signal. Yeah. And so I said, in order for me to get to the next level, I have the drive. I have the potential. I need to put the gas into it. I need to fill myself up with the stuff that I need to learn in order for me to be able to tell the people what to do.
So Century 21 has tell me about the program.
It's called Soaring to Success.
Okay.
And it's basically a 2-month program. You go twice a week.
And who teaches it?
So the top agents in the company, if they're the best at REOs, they teach that class. If they're the best at listing properties or listing presentation, they teach that class. Wow. If they're the best at working with buyers and buyer brokerage, they teach that class.
Let me ask you this question. I'm curious to know. How many people were actually in the class?
There was maybe less than 20.
Yeah.
For sure. Less than 20.
And how many, and this is open to all Century 21 agents, right?
Everyone.
How many Century 20, do you have any idea how many Century 21 agents there are?
750 plus.
So there's 750 plus, right?
Century 21 American Home agents.
Yeah. Right? So just think about that for a second. Such a small, there's 3%, 2.5% of all agents are going through this. So it's how many people really, really want it?
Right. And the funny thing is, and this is what you kind of have to be, what I was telling you about being actively in the moment, is when you look at the people on that table or in that room, maybe 30% of those people are high producing, high income people.
Yeah.
So because because you are, it's kind of like the way you are now. You know, you've reached a level, and then you went to school, like, and then you go into your master's because you notice that people that are making money they never stop learning, and the people that are there still go to class, still educate themselves, still pushing forward because there's always something to learn, and you got to be sharp all the time.
Which brings me back to like a point that you said during the opener, which was you recognize that BPOs, the REOs, like that industry was dying, right? And you're like, I have to innovate, I have to change. Right now, we're in a period like that. Well, first of all, the world is moving faster than it ever has before, right? The days of like working for somebody for 30, 40 years is over. And like every like 10-year cycle, what was hot is now not hot anymore. So if you're not willing to like constantly innovate and constantly change, you are going to die, right? So you're either growing and innovating and you become comfortable in that, like in being uncomfortable, or you're going to be out of a job.
Right. You got to be fearful that you're going to lose your job every day, I think. And losing my job would mean, not get a buyer, not get another listing. So you always have to be, I don't know that the right word is fearful, but you always have to be, that hunger really has to be in your belly all the time. Otherwise, if you don't think that the moment you think that you reached a moment where people are really going to call you for your experience or for your reputation only, the options are getting bigger and bigger every day, and you become more of an option than anybody else. So you really have to be paranoid. You got to be paranoid all the time that somebody's going to be better than you, and your business can go to those people.
You said something to me before we jumped on the air, which was like, I think very powerful, and I want you to kind of explain why. You said to me, your mind is your biggest enemy.
Well,
and this is really, really big for people.
Yeah, I feel like, the reason why we were talking about it is because I was talking about my own failures. I was talking about, people tell me that I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other. But if I could only pick up another book, if I could do an extra half hour listening to a book or listening to something more productive, if I could make the mental leap of stop waking up and checking social media, whether it is for enjoyment or business, and use that moment, that half an hour everybody gets in the day, which is the first half an hour in the day. You could wake up an extra half an hour early. You could, that's the time that my wife and my kids are sleeping. It's quiet. I can go in the living room. I can go in my office and read a book. And that's why I was talking about that. Because that I am to the point where that mental barrier has to be broken. And that's your enemy. And that mental barrier has been broken several times, and that's gotten to now.
Yeah.
But you get to the point where, there's so much more to learn. There's so much more to absorb, so you can pour it back out.
Yeah.
And so reading a book, listening to people that know what they're doing, and they're telling you how to do it, it's really what the next level is. And yeah, I mean, if you know what, I read like a meme a while ago that said, I think 90% of people, they like survey people, and 90% of people, the worst day, the least favorite date is Sunday afternoon,
because they have to go to work on Monday.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that way at all. First of all, I've been working 7 days a week, not 8 hours a day every day, but I've been working 7 days a week for the last year.
Yeah.
That's what it takes. So Monday to me means, like, somebody texted me the other day and said, I told them that I would be available Monday, and they texted me on Monday and said, hey, we're meeting. And I said, no, we're meeting Monday. And I said, I said Wednesday. And I said, they told me today is Wednesday. And I said, dude, I'm sorry, but to me, every day is Monday. For the last year and the next year, every day to me is Monday. Because I don't have the opportunity to take a day off. My business is my baby, and I got to raise it. You don't take off on your babies, like a newborn baby, you can't leave alone for more than 2-3 hours at a time. And so you have to be present. But you have to be able to put in the time, and the mental jump, you got to beat your mind, whether it is to get up and work out and lose weight, or read a book if you have to educate yourself, or do whatever it is that you need to do to get to the next level. The first barrier that you have to overcome is yourself. It's that guy inside of you telling you, nah, leave it for later. Do it tomorrow. It's not necessary. Everything's fine.
And you got really good news this morning, right?
I woke up to yesterday I was talking about, everybody's talking about oh, they need the Century 21 Gala and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, yeah, I last year I went and I paid because I didn't get anything. It was my first year and it was in the beginning of the year. I had not one transaction in contract, nothing. And so I went to figure out why people went, it's being nosy, and supporting my fellow agents in my office that are getting awards. And I woke up this morning and I had a text message, congratulations. And I checked and I'm like, what's going on? Did I have a baby overnight and nobody told me? Like, what's happening? And I checked my email and I made it. I'm actually getting an award for it's called a Gold Circle. It's nothing big, but to me, it's more a representation of the work that I put in, in 1 year. Like most people, I think the averages are like, in the first year, most agents close 1.
Yeah.
In the second year, they close like 6. And then, that's the averages, my first year in my head full time, but not really full time. It's
because you were still doing BPOs.
I was still doing BPOs. I still do figuring out hours. My wife works part time, so part time of the time I have to be with my girls, taking them to school, whatever. So like if you're not present doing business, you're not really doing business. And in my head, I was worrying about real estate, but I wasn't actively in real estate, and so I was really working part time. I was stressing out full time, but I was working part time. So I did 10 sites part time essentially.
So that first year had to be crazy nerve wracking, right? Like,
yeah, because you're figuring it out on the road. You don't have the chance to, like, a buyer that you have is like gold, or a listing that you get is like gold, and you can't mess it up because you're gonna get fired. This is a job interview you went on.
Yeah,
and at any moment they could say, yeah, we don't want to work with you anymore.
I think that's a really big thing. I think people in every business have an underappreciation and don't fully understand the responsibility that they have to their clients or to their employees, right?
Yeah.
Like, if someone's trusting you with their house, which is essentially the biggest asset that like 99% of the people in this country have, right? To either make the right decision to buy a house or to sell a house, that's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
This isn't about just like getting a check. This is about like, you're changing people's lives. You're affecting the next 5, 7, 10, 30 years of how someone's going to live, support their family, make memories, etc.
Right. And that's why I feel the first barrier you have to overcome when you meet somebody is to change the perception they have that real estate agents do a little work for a lot of money, and that it's very crooked business. Real estate business is very simple. You got to get somebody from point A to point B, whether they're buying a house or selling a house, to getting the house sold or bought. And so, but there is steps in the way, and there's a lot of money to be made. And the moment people start cutting corners, that's when you feel like you're not being truthful to your client, and things can go wrong. And so my biggest thing, besides being happy with what I'm doing, is providing a service that people can refer. Like, I am not worried about the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 I'm gonna make on this next closing. I'm paranoid about getting a referral from those people.
Yeah, because your reputation is that important. That's what drives me nuts in my own business. Is like when I deal with the employees of my family that work with me, I'm like, listen, people call us because I have had a certain interaction with them, and they know the way I do business, right? Yeah. That has to, and as you kind of dilute yourself because you can't do everything, you have to keep that, you struggle to keep that standard, which is very, very hard.
Very hard,
right?
It takes a long time to get to that. It takes, a lot of pulling your hair out and internalizing a lot of frustrations, so that somebody else can just take over and screw up a deal or screw up a perception that they have on you, and then you just lost those 3-4 leads that you're going to get over the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, one of my really good friends, I say this often, Val, he has this quote that says, a reputation, it takes a lifetime to establish a reputation and a moment to lose it.
Yep.
Real talk. And you see realtors that have been in the game for like 20, 30, 40 years, or even any business, the referral business, right? A, costs you nothing. Right? B, is the easiest business to close. Right? Because they're coming in off a recommendation. So how do you see, now that you've been out there hustling for a few years now, how is that referral business starting to like take off? You see the impact of that?
I mean, I think 30% of the buyers I had last year were from social media.
Okay.
So that's it. It's just a reflection of people in social media. A lot of people have social media. Their life, it's really not their life. They don't post about their job or whatever because they hate it.
Yeah.
Because it's not fulfilling. If you look at I'm biggest on Instagram, but if you look at my Instagram, that's my life right there. I like my family most. I like my wife most. I love my girls. They're there. I love the business that I'm in. That's career. This is retirement for me. This is something that I want to do for the next 30 years and plus after that. And I like my motorcycle. And that's what my social media is about. I don't do anything outside of that. I do church. I do, but mostly it's that.
Church, work, family, and motorcycles. You're really so. And I've seen your social media, obviously, and I follow you and I look at everything you post because I genuinely enjoy it because it's authentic.
Right. That's me.
It's real life, and people want to feel like they can relate to you.
Right.
I want your opinion and suggestions to agents out there because there's a lot of older agents, and I've been trying to drive this home in the last couple of podcasts and bringing different people on that, like I had John McSherry last week, who's very big into social media. A lot of the older agents are calling me, I have relationships with, and they're like, yo, like business is slow. I'm like, listen, it's not that business is slow. I was like, the way the world communicates is changing, right? If you're looking for first-time home buyer, which is like the bulk of the business right now, those people, the 27-year-old doesn't communicate the same way that the people that you've dealt with in the past are. You can't put your name on a bus stop seat anymore and get business. It doesn't work that way. Everything is online. Right. It's very complicated. So kind of, I guess, talk a little bit about your social media strategy, how important it's been to you, and just in general, how important you think it is in the business.
There is a strategy. Everything I post for a reason. And I already told you that it's real life. You know? I just don't, but I don't.
And you're consistent. Very consistent.
Yeah, you have to be consistent. You have to be in people's faces. You have to be remembered. Like when they think real estate, they're gonna think me.
Yeah,
that's really the ultimate goal. That any real estate transaction that somebody may have, whether it's in New York or is anywhere else, that they're gonna think, I gotta call this guy because he must know something about it. Whether he could do it or he can point me in the right direction. So you have to be consistent. That's number one. Number two, I feel like for older agents, you have to overcome that mental block.
Yeah.
That this is the future, and that's it. It's like when your parents give you today we're gonna have mac and cheese. Well, I don't like mac and cheese. Well, that's what we're having. What we're having for the next 5 years is Instagram, Facebook, and that's what you're gonna eat.
Yep.
And so whether you either you eat it or you're gonna be hungry.
Yes.
That was
awesome.
That's really what it comes down to. It's true, because there's no. What is the other option? You're gonna keep calling people. You're gonna keep telling people that no. You're gonna keep mailing to them. I mail, but you know what? Funny you say. I'm gonna tell you something. I had a conversation with this really really high producing guy in my office, and I was talking to him, and we both mail and talk about how to be smarter about that and how to really put the proper amount of money into it. But I said to him, I had not emailed one client in my whole life for prospecting. Never. Because we have already skipped that whole thing.
People just delete. They
don't even read it. They don't even read it. You have a business email, you have a personal email, and you have a junk email.
Yeah.
And most people that are not going to take you seriously, because let's face it, most people are not going to take a real estate agent because they're going to think that you're going to spam them. You're going to send them houses they don't want to see. You're going to just try to sell them a house that they don't want to buy. They're going to give you their junk email. So you're going to go there. You're going to be junk. So we jumped from mailing in 1 or 2 years, did emails, and then it went straight to social media. Wow. And so if you were thinking that you want to, how do I set up my CRM so I can email people automatically? Wrong. They don't want to know about your automatic emails. No. They want to know about your life. They want to, and most of all, they want to relate to a human being.
Yes.
They want to know that you are a human that has emotions, that has successes and that has failures, and that so happened that you are really good at what you do. Because most agents that are asking you these questions, that are worried about income in the future, that are worried, are people that know the business really well and that are in the business to serve people, not to make money, which is the reason why I'm in the business. I want to serve people, and the reason why I'm in real estate and I want to serve people in this sector is because it pays really well.
Yeah.
You know, you can serve people at a hospital, or you can help the homeless, and some people have that calling. You know, I chose real estate because I need to have a certain bottom dollar.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, that you can serve people at that. And that's huge. That's important. You need somebody qualified. You need somebody who has a good heart, a good person to manage that process. From either spending your future $600,000 or getting you those $600,000 that you've been working for the last 30 years, and now your house is paid off and now you're cashing out.
Yeah.
So social media is not going anywhere, and it's gonna get worse.
Dude, that's the greatest quote ever, by the way. I'm thinking about like what I can do with that. The whole like, it's, you know, for the next 5 years, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's Facebook, Instagram, Google, and, you know, either you're eating that or you're not eating.
And it's not easy. It's another job. It's a full-time job.
It's a lot.
It's another job.
But it is a full-time job, but at the same time, like, I don't think people realize the power that they have in their pocket, right? That phone that's in your pocket, like, agents, if you were sitting there, and I'm not talking about, you don't want to put out content just for the sake of putting out content, right? No. You want to put stuff out that's interesting, whatever. But don't put so much pressure on yourself, like, oh my God, I have to be like, you know, brilliant and funny and this all the time. Yeah. If there's something that you're doing that you find interesting, odds are most people are going to find it interesting. Yeah. It doesn't take a lot to take a phone out of your pocket and take a 30-second video. At the beginning, if you're nervous, take the videos, save them, don't post them, but just get into the habit of doing it.
And I still hate it, you know, and people tell me, oh, I love watching your videos, and, you know, I hate it. And let me tell you something. And I know people that are going to listen to this that do it all the time. They know that for that 1 30-second video, there's another 30 2-minute videos that suck. Yeah. Because it takes practice. It takes... And it's not natural. It's just, we're not natural at it. Our kids are going to be naturals at just turning on a phone, looking at it and saying, you know, whatever it is. It just comes naturally to them. To us, it's still not normal. You know, we're just used to speaking to people face to face, and talking to a phone and it going out to the world is just not comfortable yet. But it takes practice, and the only way to do it, it's to start today. You got to pick up your phone out of your pocket.
Massive action.
And send your wife, instead of calling her and saying whatever you're going to tell her on the phone, take your phone out and do a video. And just record yourself. Hey, honey, how are you? You know, can you stop by the supermarket, get this, and that, whatever? And then send the video. And she's going to say, what are you doing? But that's, you know, if you can't count on your significant other, your best friend, or that other person to give it to you real, then that's already a big problem that we don't want to touch on. But you should have that one person that you can count on to send that video and practice and just get a little bit more comfortable. And, you know, I just put my phone out, and not that I don't care, but I know that I have to do it, and that, so, you know, it's got to be done, and I enjoy doing it at this point. But in the beginning, I didn't. But what was the other option? Don't do it and don't make money?
Wow.
I mean,
I want to talk about, like, you're great with this. So, work-life balance. Like, what are your thoughts on work-life balance? Does it really exist? You appear to, and I actually believe that you really love your family. Yeah. You really love your wife, and you seem to have as good of a balance as someone that's unbelievably driven like yourself can have.
Right.
So, like, I mean, is that a struggle? Is that a process? Is it something you have to be mindful of all the time? Do you get frustrated and feel like, you know, sometimes you're restricted from working as much as you want to do, or like, because that's the topic. People are like, right, how do I find this balance? And you seem to have achieved it very well.
I struggle with it every single day of my life because that's a tough one because it hits home for me. I love my children and I love my wife with anything. Like, I am waiting till the day that I can retire so I can be with them all day long. Like, if I win the Mega Millions, I'm sorry, all you buyers and sellers, I'm not doing real estate anymore. I'm gonna invest my money so I can spend time with my children and my wife. Because I feel, and this we were having a conversation earlier, I get messages all the time from friends saying, "Hey, what are we doing? this Friday, what are we doing this Thursday night? Let's go have a drink. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And my immediate response is, what I'm doing tonight or what I'm doing tomorrow night, spending time with my girls. Because that's what I want to do. I feel like a lot of people out there get married, get together with people that they don't really like. They don't really think. I feel like my girls and my wife are cooler than me, and I want to be a part of their clique. Let's just say. So I want them to take me in. So I will do anything possible to be part of whatever they're doing. Is it not always possible? So that's where the work-life balance comes into play.
Yeah.
And the key to that is communication. And it's the oldest. When you ask a 90-year-old couple how did they be married for 40 years? Communication. Well, communication just doesn't happen. We have our struggles with my wife and I. And we say, look, we got to pay some bills this month that are tough. I got to be absent. But I look in her eyes and I say, I have to be absent. And she can say to me, okay, I'll drive this ship at home while you're pulling the net the fish out of the water. Because somebody has to be driving the ship and somebody has to be pulling the net. You can't be doing both. You got to be able to delegate home to somebody. You can't delegate it 24 hours a day. There's at least one day a week that I have to take, whether I like it or not. Do I like, not because I don't like not taking my girls to school or being absent from my business, but you have to do it. As much as you have to take out a buyer and you have to go for that listing, you have to be part of your kid's life because they're going to be messed up. How many messed up people are there out there that have parents that make 6-figure income, but they're not fulfilled? I don't want that for my children. So it's very, very difficult to be part of. It's very difficult to take a business off the ground and have little children, but having the person at home that has your back, it's really the key to the whole thing. And my wife, I hope she listens to this and she's still listening. But I really have to give her all the credit because she works really hard her own business, and she's at home a lot of the time, so I can do something that I really love doing and make money at it and make her life better.
That's huge. I remember reading an article like a few days ago that Warren Buffett put out, and he said, marry the right person. He's like, right. That's probably the most important thing in life, career, is marry the right person.
Right.
Because that person's either going to have your back and understand, and there's a lot of people that are just selfish that want their own, fulfill their own needs.
Right.
And relationships are not easy, but it's a big part of success.
Yeah. Part of it is, and this is a conversation you have with the significant other. My first mentor told me, you can either work these next 10 years as hard as you can so you can retire 10 years early, or you could just do what you're doing and you can retire whenever you retire. And so that is huge to me, because retiring doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna stop working, but financially retiring, it's a huge thing. Yeah. Especially now, it's getting harder and harder to make $1, and that dollar goes away very quickly, and it's only gonna get harder. And so to try to financially retire as soon as possible, it's a huge undertaking. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes discipline. But you got to have somebody, you got to have a CFO at home. You got to have somebody who you can tell, these are the numbers, this is realistically where we are, and somebody has to go make the money if we want to have the lifestyle that we want to have.
I want to close out with this from you. So I want to ask you, if there's a realtor sitting at home, or there's just a person in business sitting at home, and they're in that place where you were, right, before our conversation, and they like kind of want to get started, but they don't have the confidence, or they don't know what to do, or like they're not ready to take the action. Like, what do you say to that person?
Nobody knows what you don't know. If you feel like you are completely inept at real estate, a buyer or a seller does not know what's in your brain. So don't worry about that. Get educated. Get out there and get educated. But don't worry about what you don't know. They can't control that. If you feel like, I don't know how to fill out a transaction sheet, I don't know how to show a house, I don't know, you got to go to somebody that knows what they're doing and tell them, would you help me? I will give you all of my potential to learn, and you got to invest that. But not worrying, my jump went from not worrying about oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Well, let's worry about what I do know how to do. I know how to be personable. I know how to be kind to people. I know how to be honest. And the next stuff you figure out on the way. I feel like people just want real people to get them from wherever they want to go. Either it is, your accountant, your attorney, your mortgage guy. They just want honest people to get them to what they want, where to want to go. And there's a lot of, when you read somebody that they're being honest, and that they may not be the most knowledgeable person. So the only thing you have in the beginning is you, your honesty, your integrity. And so get out there, get out there and do it. Find somebody who's. I have a Charles. I have another couple of people that are ahead of me in business that I look forward to, that I aspire to be, and then I have a couple of people next to me that I can gauge myself at how we're doing, and I can look to the sides and say peers that how they're growing, and I can kind of balance myself. And I also have somebody who I'm looking down on, not looking despectively down on, but somebody who's just getting started that I want to help up, that I see potential on, like you saw potential in me, and I want to bring them up because they're potential asset to me, or I see that they're a huge shining star just waiting to burst.
Yeah.
And so having that be present in the moment, and be present, be actively present. I think that's the biggest thing. Every conversation you have during the day, be there. And I know I just said a bunch. You said one thing and I said 10, but
no, it's all important. I mean, listen, nobody could have said it any better. Louis, if anyone's out there looking to buy a house, looking to sell a house in the whole Long Island area, how do they get in touch with you? What's your Instagram handle, your Facebook, your phone number? How do these guys get a hold of you?
Oof, okay, so this is the first time I actually had to do this. 516-881-0126 is my cell. You can text or call.
Slow it down, say it one more time, just in case.
516-881-0126. I speak Spanish, English, and I can dabble a little Portuguese as well.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, a little bit. And my handle on Instagram is listed_Luis. So you can find me there. Just Google me. I'll probably come up in the first couple of things that you'll find. Luis Cardenas or Luis Cardenas, however you want to say it. But yeah, I'm excited to hear from you guys. If you have any questions, I'm here to help.
Awesome. We're all here to help each other get up the mountain. With that said, I'm the Handsome Home Buyer. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, call me. Commercial property, call me. 516, winning lottery ticket, call me. Anything negative, any bills, don't call me. 516-777-SOLD. If you need the captain, and Lord knows everybody needs the captain. 516-513-8838. That's a wrap.